What if I told you there is one simple change you can make to your trading that can transform everything? This can be the difference from being an unprofitable trader to a profitable trader with one simple step. Now, what if I told you you can make this difference by just looking at one simple chart that can help give you the clarity you've been looking for in the markets? Well, luckily for you, that is actually the case. The chart I am showing you here is DXY, and this can be the key to unlocking an accurate high time frame bias in the market. So, some of you may be asking, well, what is the dollar index? The US dollar index, also called DXY, but I usually call it DXY, is an index or measure of the value of the dollar against a basket of foreign currencies. As you can see here, this is the 6 currencies that it's paired against, or to make the weight of the index. They are the euro, Japanese yen, the pound, Canadian dollar, the krona, and the Swiss franc. As you can see here, they don't all make up an equal sixth of the dollar index. Euro here, as it's used by I think 20 countries-ish, makes up almost 60% of the weighting. So these are the pairs. If you're trading, for example, Euro USD or USD JPY, you need to be looking at dollar index to get an accurate bias. Okay, so now I've gave you a little explanation as to what DXY is. You're probably thinking, well, how can we use it? I just gave you a Wikipedia definition. What does that help? So here you can see this candlestick chart right here is the DXY, and this pink line here is the EU chart. So as you can see, they move almost directly inverted to each other. So as you can see, we was high up here, we was low down here, we had this leg down here, we had this impulse up here. So using this, you can get a very, very, very clear confluence for if price is actually going to do what you want it to do. Because the truth is, dollar's going to win 99% of the time. 9 out of 10 times, the way dollar goes, euro will follow. So if you've got some euro analysis but dollar doesn't match, chances are your trade's going to get stopped out and you've just took a low quality trade that there's no point taking. Okay, so before we hop into some chart examples, I want to quickly share the process of finding the bias, as this can be quite confusing if I don't explain this first. So here we have dollar, and here we have 3 other currencies which make up the weighting of DXY. Although you can really trade any pair against DXY the way I'm about to show you. That's what I would personally do. However, mine just happened to match up anyway. And here are the pairs these 3 currencies make up. We have Euro USD, GBP USD, and USD JPY. So as I showed you before in the example, EU will be inverse to DXY, as it is made up of Euro first, then dollar. GBP is the same, it's GBP, then USD. However, for UJ or USD JPY, it is the opposite. You want this UJ chart to be in line with what DXY is showing you. This is because USD is first. Therefore, this pair would be following USD, as it's USD against the yen, whereas Euro USD, for example, is euro against the dollar. So you would want pairs that have USD at the end or another currency first, inverted. However, if it has USD first, so USD is the first pair in the name, you want that to be in line with DXY. I'm going to show you examples of both so you can get a greater understanding of this, but I just thought I would show you this first just to make it a bit clearer when I'm jumping into the examples. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into the charts and I've got some great examples for you. Okay, so now I'm back on the DXY chart to work through what I do on a daily basis to get my bias for both DXY and all the pairs I trade. If anything jumps out to me, I'll explain that to you. So hopefully by the end of these examples, you'll have a clear understanding of what we're looking for. So we're on the daily chart on DXY. As you can see, price took this low, we respected it, and we're seemingly making a swing low below here. When price takes a low and takes one swing low and makes another swing low, it's very likely the next day after will go up. So we're looking at this day, but this can also give us a bias for 2 days. Coming into the 4 hour, again, you can very clearly see we respected the low. We're displacing through this bearish 4 hour fair value gap with this candle right here. 4 hour and daily look good. We'll just quickly drop down to the 1 hour. As you can see, we haven't completely filled this gap, but we've come down, filled most of this gap, displacing higher, inverting these fair value gaps right here. price is pushing up, it looks very good to go higher. So with this bullish DXY, as I explained, we'll be looking for a bearish Euro USD. So if we come up to the daily right here, we can also see we swept this high right here, which is the exact same as DXY, just obviously flipped on its head. Come down to the 4 hour, price is moving down. We don't look as nice as DXY did, but price is still moving lower. Again, on the 1 hour here, we've got fair value gaps coming down, pretty big candles pushing lower. We created this inversion with fair value gap, which we came up into, moved lower from that, inverted this one as well with this leg down here. Price is moving lower, it looks good. Come over to GU quickly, and again, you can see it clear on the 4. Swept this high right here, inverted these fair value gaps, created this 1 hour fair value gap right here. Price did close quite high up into it, but we moved lower. Again, looks really good for a sell. I did take this. I'm pretty sure I reviewed this on one of my other videos, so you can go back and find that. That's very insightful. And we'll pick USD CHF, which, as you can see, we didn't sweep the low on the daily, so this pair is quite strong, which means it's not too aligned with DXY, because as you remember, DXY came down here, so that means the franc is very weak. Therefore, if I'm looking at all the pairs, I don't want to touch this, ideally. Okay, yeah, so as you can see on the 4 hour, we failed to take this, and you can kind of see here, yeah, there isn't much volume to the upside. We do have this fair value gap. It's kind of been respected, but price is consolidating. We're not really doing much here. Yeah, so using DXY, if I just quickly go back, so we're thinking price could go higher, which means GU looks pretty good to go lower, EU looks alright to go lower, but USD CHF did not look that great to go higher. So you may be looking at USD CHF and thinking, oh, we don't have that much volume here, we didn't sweep these highs, or I'm not sure how you guys trade, maybe because we came into this fair value gap here, whatever, and you might be thinking for price to go down. However, you wouldn't look for that, because this is just a very, very weak pair, or this pair is just not aligned with DXY, so we're not going to touch it. As the main rule is, if we're going to use DXY to help get a bias, we're going to use the signs it points out to us with this pair not being ideal to trade. We'll come over to GU, as I've taken a trade here already. We will come down, look for whatever your entry is. Mine, there would have been a shift somewhere, which was right here, I assume on the 1 minute. Yeah, so we would have got in, and we'll let this ride out. This trade's actually very interesting. I remember why I took this. So this is a prime example of using DXY against the pound. So I closed at this black line right here. You may be thinking, oh, why do you do that? If we come over to DXY, DXY came up and took this high. This was an FOMC week, so I'm being quite cautious with my trades. So again, we respected this level here. Price moved higher, which was really nice. That's what we were expecting. So we used that for GU bias. However, this high was the highest point before we took the low. It created this leg. It is quite a strong high. There's definitely a chance price will respect it. So we came up into this. As soon as we tapped here, my DXY bias was gone. I thought maybe we might hit TP by then. We got pretty close, but as you can see, we didn't. We didn't tap down. So that was fine. I closed there, and as you can see, if I let this play out, price ended up going the other way. So we'll see what that looks like on, yeah, as you can see, price did go higher, which we didn't follow. We took these highs right here, and then price displaced lower, which is not what I was looking for. So here you can see I used DXY for my bias and for my target, which ended up turning a losing trade into a winning trade. Okay, so I've come back to DXY. I'll show you the next day, as these are 2 in 1. It's literally the same thing every single day. There isn't much to really show you more, but I'll give you another example, and then you can look through yourself on the charts, just mirror what I'm doing, and you'll gradually get a better understanding. Obviously, you can look through my reviews, because I do explain every trade I take has DXY alignment, so you you can just get, there's a lot of case studies. Obviously, I'm pretty sure I've reviewed these trades before. However, they're great examples, so why not use them again? So like I said before, we made this swing low after taking this low, which means this day here is very high probability, very highly likely to impulse higher, as it obviously aligns with the rest of my bias. As it did here, we swept this low, price moves up. This happens about 80% of the time. It's actually a really good little trick I learned from ICT to get a daily bias. Okay, we also have this fair value gappers here as our more higher time frame long-term target. So as explained before, we would come. I'm looking for price to go higher. Also on the 4 hour, we came into this fair value gap. We're respecting it quite nicely around the equilibrium, I believe. Yeah, bodies are respecting the equilibrium very nicely, as you can see with this little black line right here. We're almost perfectly on it. On the 1 hour, we filled this gap, displaced through this opening gap right here, which again is a great sign to go higher. So again, bullish on DXY. So that means a pair like USD CHF, I'm also bullish on. As you can see, our ticket trade. We'll come back to that. Let's also do, why don't we do USD CHF? So again, USD CAD. Again, USD is at the start, so we would also be bullish as we're wanting it to move in line with the dollar. So this would be something we'll be looking for pairs higher or trades higher even. We've left fair value gaps here. We probably could have taken, I would not have taken anything on here. Actually, we haven't come into any sort of high time frame area. If we tap down into this, I wouldn't have minded looking for a buy in London. However, you guys, and everyone trades different, you might not need that. But again, if you did have a bias for go high, maybe off this sweep or something else you've seen, I've literally just pulled this up and looked at it for like 30 seconds. You can use the dollar index to get an extra confidence to move higher, which I'm assuming it did. Yeah, up until here, you could definitely have taken a trade there if you traded London. So we'll come back to this example where we actually swept this low on USD CHF, had a very nice grab. That's what the main trade idea would have been off. Yep. We then had a 1 minute shift, I believe. I'll just come back here. Yeah, right here, we had this shift. Price closed above. I would have entered here, and we had a beautiful trade right here. We actually did come into quite a bit of drawdown, but price did move up. This was a news move, so I wouldn't have taken this live. However, it's another great example to show you. And then if we come into the dollar right here, you can see we are still moving up. Obviously, with news, price did move more than it would have. However, you can see the dollar was going up. This would have won even without the news, or the news pushes price where it wants to go anyway. But as you can see, we got a very clear bias to the upside, which we was able to pair with USD CHF to take a great trade. So that's 2 days back to back. I just picked a recent day on DXY that looked good. You can do this pretty much every single day. Just use the same tactics you use to get in a bias for if you're trading NAS or EU, and just apply the exact same thing to the DXY, and you've got an extra layer of protection. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope there was some stuff you could find insightful. This idea was recommended in my TikTok comments. So if you want me to make a video on anything, or even if you want me to go over this again, it's not clear enough, leave a comment. Go over to my TikTok, leave a comment, and I can make more videos on it. I can go into even more depth. I can show you more examples. We could do some back testing, whatever. Just let me know. I'm here to help. I've got time, as I've been blessed to be able to trade. So I'm hoping to try and help others. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed. I've got plenty more coming out soon. I'll see you next time.